The problem with what I call Western multiculturalism is that it excludes one ethnic group from the multicultural table, and that is the majority, the founding nation. And multiculturalism, this alliance, which I've previously described between the white left and multicultural or minority tribalists, you don't have an alliance unless it's directed at someone, right? So NATO was directed at the Soviet Union, and so on. Yeah. So, and what it's directed at is white people. Multiculturalism in the West is an alliance, a leftist and minority tribal alliance against the white majority. Well, while it's the majority, why not confront that and bring into the multicultural process, bring in the majority? Why not?
Yeah.
What would happen? Well, the first thing that would happen is, imagine the government calling a conference, a multicultural conference, to advise it on policy issues, for example. Well, the white representatives would come along. They would come in and they would be asked, okay, so we've heard from the Chinese delegate that there should be more immigration from China, and we've heard from the Indian delegates and from the Muslim delegates there should be more immigration from India and from Islamic countries, and we've heard from, etc., etc. And now we turn to the representatives of the majority ethnic group. And what would you like? I wonder what they would say. The strongest ties adhere to identity groups, whether it be the family, which is the most intense, and coming down a long way, whether it be an ethnic group or a nation, then you can still have some low level of connection. But when one tries to go beyond that, which is the communistic ideal, the whole thing just collapses, and basically you have a war of all against all. It's hyper-individualism. The world that I envisage, if we can wrest back control over immigration from these globalizing elites, and fight again the cultural Cold War, and this time win it in a reasonable way. The goal that I think we should be aiming towards is what I call the optimization of bonds.
There's a lot of arguments going around here in terms of endorsing, I guess, this treatment of any white population, basically, that they somehow deserve the treatment in this regard that they're getting. That this has something to do with past, colonization, past history. The people alive today are somehow responsible and have to carry this multi-generational burden on their shoulders.
First point is, notice the ethnic hostility implicit in such a statement. You've already said that. It's a statement of hatred and of vengeance. It's implicitly highly ethnocentric, in fact, implicitly hate-based. It's saying you're going to get your just desserts. And who's you? You is the white world. And implicitly, we is the various non-white races. And this is a sort of slogan that should be raised. Give us a voice. We want a voice as well. Why do minorities have direct access for lobbying purposes to the government? Why aren't that we listen to, and we try and do the same thing. Why do you call us racist and call us all sorts of bad names and try and put us in prison? And why have you built this coercive apparatus of courts and special advisors and police to round us up and persecute us when we try and do exactly the same thing as ethnic minorities do? And they call it multiculturalism. When we try and do it, it's called racism. And what is happening is that it's a top-down revolution. That's what's happening. It's revolution through immigration.